Hey guys, Blockbuster Tech here. Today we are going to be talking about the brand new iPad Mini 5 and iPad Air 3. So let's begin. So in this video I'm basically going to be going over everything about the new iPads that were just announced back in March, and I'm also going to be stating that there is really no competition for these both tablets because the market of Android tablets is dead. The only survivor, or maybe just the bare survivor, is the Galaxy Tab S4, which is somehow hanging on that little cliff where all the Android tablets are almost starting to die without oxygen to breathe. And without a doubt, I think that Apple iPads are the tablets. Like, you cannot beat them. Like, even Surface products, I mean, they make some sense, unlike Google's products, but the only main manufacturer making actual proper tablets is Apple right now. So these two new iPads were launched just a week before the new Showtime event just came with all the services and stuff. It just dropped a week before that. Now the iPad Mini 4 was not refreshed for 4 years. Apple didn't do a slight facelift or none of those things. They just left it the way it is for 4 years on their massively dated website. And I think they should have killed off the iPad Mini 4 a little sooner when they knew that the iPad Mini 5 was coming. Now most of these small upgrades are just like internal stuff, like the processor, RAM, and small details that no one really would say it's a big upgrade, but the fact that it wasn't refreshed for 4 years, it is a significant upgrade. Now most of the upgrades to the Mini are just internal. So from the A8 chip, from the A8X chip, Apple has moved on to the A12X chip. And it doesn't really make sense to put such a powerful processor in an iPad Mini, because I think it would have done really well even with the A10X chip or maybe the A11 chip. They could have priced it a little lower, I get it, but the fact that they actually give you an A12X chip for $499, that is really impressive. And the RAM is also bumped up to 4 gigabytes from, I think it was like maybe 3 or 2, maybe 1. Yeah, so the RAM has definitely seen an upgrade, and the camera has also seen an update. Now I don't really think they should be bragging about the camera too much, because iPads, like, people, do they really use iPad cameras? I don't know, like FaceTime maybe. But yeah, they have upgraded the cameras, updated in the sense it's the same one as the iPhone 6. Pretty bad, but at least they gave it a little bit of a brush up, didn't leave it in that same position it was before. So yeah, that is a little better than before. Apart from there, a few minor changes to the exterior, like the replacement of the microphone holes, or like the Touch ID sensor is now faster, it's the second generation. Yeah, it's just small changes like that, but it's still very, very welcome, because this is a very, really good form factor for an iPad. 7.9 inches, perfect size, Apple. It's really easy to hold in one hand and use, which is really impressive. There is certainly a huge market for these kind of small tablets. While on the other hand, the underdog, the iPad Mini 3. No, it's the iPad Air 3. Now this is basically a replacement to the 10.5-inch iPad Pro from 2017. Now it has a lot of characteristics from that iPad. It's got the same display, which is the 10.5-inch LCD display. It's Retina. It's got a resolution of 1536 by 1448. It is a great display. It is one of the best displays out there as an LCD, mind you. And this is even more proven to the fact because they discontinued the 10.5-inch Pro when the iPad Air 3 just came. Now, as good as that might sound, like taking all the components from a Pro device, you don't get everything. You lose the promotion display, which is something very, very few people know what really makes a difference. But it is a huge difference from 60 Hz. It just feels way smoother. It feels more productive. It feels like you're using a much more expensive device. It feels smoother than 60 Hz. It's a buttery smooth it feels. You cannot tell unless you use the product. Like, if you've used the 10.5-inch Pro or like the iPad with the promotion display, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, one more thing that is carried over and is something that should have been sorted out in the first prototype of the Apple Pencil. Yes, Apple Pencil Generation 1. you know what? I'm not gonna complain because $400. You can't complain for this. Like, I know it's a little bit of a hypocritical mind thinking. They should have thought a little bit better while making this design, and I think it's a little hypocritical and stupid. But there's really nothing we can do about it because they cannot implement the system where you can snap the pen to the side because it's not squared off. Like, if they would make a new model, it would cost even more. Like the housings and stuff, they had to borrow from the iPad Pros, the 2018 versions. It would require a lot of work and stuff like that. So I think that is kind of excusable, but at the same time, I completely think that the charging mechanism for the Apple Pencil one is hilarious. It is stupid. Apple did not think things through a lot. It's like the Google way of doing things. Now, coming to the prices, I like to say that this is one of the more reasonably priced Apple products. The iPad Mini 5 costs $399 or $400 as we like to call it, and is a really good buy at that price. Now I think that they could have lowered the price a little bit by giving it maybe an A12, not even like they shouldn't have given it an A12X. They should have given it an A12. That way they could bring down the price a little. It would be way more accessible, but at the same time that would almost completely kill off the 2018 budget iPad because that thing, it's the only thing that's holding people from buying the iPad mini. Like if people want a bigger size than the 7.9 inches, they have to pretty much go with the budget iPad. But except for the screen size, the budget iPad is much ways inferior to the iPad mini 5. And yes, it is more expensive than the 2018 budget iPad. And the iPad Air 3 costs $600, which is not a bad price, but people who are telling you to buy the iPad Pro 2017 version, the 10.5 inch, that is not a good option. Don't go for that because this is a way newer device. It's a much more powerful processor. It's a A12X chip compared to an A10X. I know it doesn't make that much of a big difference, but it is a significant enough thing to be considering. Like you would get more software updates in the future or something like that, more support. So yeah, I think you should definitely go for the Air instead of the older Pro because that it's not really worth it when the Air's around. Overall, what do you guys think about the new iPads that were just announced last month? I think they're pretty decent, but I think they could have little bit undercut the processors because I think an A12X on an iPad mini is completely unnecessary. They could have put in an A11 or even an A10X. It would have worked just fine, but yeah, it's what it is, so they had to slap the A12X in there. But it's not a bad price for it. I mean, it's a really good buy if you have the money and you're willing to buy this. It is the best tablet around. Like iPad doesn't have any competition right now. It just doesn't. There's Samsung trying with the Tab S4. I mean, Google's not even in the market. Like the Pixel Slate doesn't even count. And yeah, I just think this tablet is just being ruled right now by the iPads, and there's nothing stopping them from getting more sales because it's just that little bit of hooks and those tricks that iPad has, which is just significantly more than the competition. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below what you think of these two iPads. And this is Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you all next one, as always.